Good morning, world. This is our weekly success story show that is broadcast worldwide, also is on 10 platforms or more of streaming and even YouTube. And every week we have a very special guest. And the reason we do this is to showcase amazing people that are making a difference in the community and impacting the world. And today's a very special guest. The reason I say very special, not only special, is that she's actually one of the presenters in the 100 Successful Women Convention in London, England this year. And I cannot wait to hear her presentation in London. So this is a global leader. Let me introduce Miss Dr. Virginia. Let's bring her to
Oh,
the stage. Hello, Dr. Virginia. You look
how
wonderful.
thank you so much. How are you, Al?
We're doing good. We had a little tragedy in my family last week, but we're getting through.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. My condolence.
Yeah, it's one of my sons passed, but God's in control, and we have to keep going.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
great people that give us great love and encouragement, and that's the things that you need to share with people. How you help people transition from one place in their life to the next, and so it's very good timing for us
Yes,
this week. You are amazingly helping ladies that are in the military. That is such a huge thing because they come out, not only ladies, but anybody that's in the military comes out of the
absolutely.
military with no sense of purpose or direction. And I know that because I
Mm,
was
yeah,
involved with a lot of people back in the Vietnam War days. And it was worse then because they did not even give them a good welcome, as you know, from Vietnam. And it was a tough time back then, but it's no different now, I'm sure.
it, it's really not. It's really not. And I'm just coming. Last year, I spent about 2 years overseas on the beautiful island of Crete. In the
Mm.
civilian foreign service where I was working for the Navy, and just got to
Wow.
know the chief's mess, which were just tremendous group of folks, and spent a lot of time with them and officers over there, and most of them were preparing to transition out. And so we just had a lot of conversations. I was really able to just utilize what I identified as my sole purpose, and just having
Mm.
conversations with them about the future, their life, the fears that you face coming out, and just how little is out there actually. There are avenues here and there, but there's no one really putting all that together and or holding the hands, and literally showing them step by step, these are your options. And how about even think about this path as opposed to just following the normal path, which usually for military exiting is going into government service, which you know
Mm.
to each his own. But they have so many more skills and gifts that they haven't even uncovered because they've been in that in that siloed mindset, serving, which is honorable and absolutely admirable, right? So but to help them think without the box, I like to say. That's what I do.
Wow. But you also
Mhm.
help non-military people. Tell me about that. That's awesome.
Yes, absolutely. So basically, my mission at Defining Paths is transition. And it came as a result of my own personal story of transformation through transition. Most of us fear change. I don't know a single person who has not at some point in their life feared change, but it's learning how to embrace it, and make it our ally, those fears. So just going through my own transformation, transitions, and learning how to heal and rebuild my life, and really focus on that whole personal wellness, that inside out development. I realized that's what was needed for our retiring military coming out of service. And so, my personal experience and testimony became my client mission. So I help not only the retiring military, but also women leaders, because, I've had experiences, unfortunately, with very hostile, discriminatory, abusive work environments. And, when you have the capabilities to do more and be more, and you're stuck in these hierarchical structures that are holding you back, or that, are making you feel less than when truly you are more than, it does something tremendous, and not in a good way, to your mental faculties, your emotional well-being, and so on and so forth. So I help women leaders also transition out of the workplace into purposed entrepreneurship. So that's what I do. I
I
build
think
entrepreneurs and from
you're
scratch.
an entrepreneur's entrepreneur. This is the I think the timing is couldn't be better in history to
Yes,
have you doing what you're doing because of COVID. So many people transitioned not by choice,
very
whether
true.
they were laid off, whether they had to work from home. Everything was transition for the past few years. Even the children, they had to transition the children from going to school to being home. It was
Yes,
I think since I can remember, it's the biggest period of transition in every area of everybody's life. But it's not only that, it's also on a global scale, which has never happened before. So this is
exactly.
it's you're the perfect person for this time. And I think
Well,
you need to multiply yourself thousands of times because that's who we need is somebody like you.
Al, I really appreciate you saying that. And, that was a revelation that I had also, just about how, we're in a new era, we're in a
Yes,
different way of life. And, people are looking for guidance. They're looking for someone who can help them connect the dots, as I like to say.
that's good.
But the first thing I do is work with mindset and help them shift their perspective. But as you said, the circumstances are helping them shift their perspective, you know, just
Unfortunately,
naturally,
yeah,
unfortunately, or some people view as fortunate.
yeah,
Because, even though they walked into it and it looked like it was a very unfortunate thing, because we've lost so many people. I personally had so many loss in my family.
yeah. We all
And
have
so,
horrible.
yeah. So that's the bad side about it. But, when you look at, we can't just give up. We can't throw our hands up. We have to find, that silver lining, and figure out, okay, well, what are my priorities in life now? How do I pivot? And, that is something I have mastered, because I was doing that before pivot was even a thing.
Mhm. It was
And,
a word.
yes.
Wow. And you've been doing this for how long, doctor?
So my company I founded in 2017, but here's the thing people need to realize. A lot of people are afraid to step out because they think, oh, I've not been doing this. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
But I realized, a coach helped me realize, I've been in beta test most of my adult life. I've
Wow.
actually been doing this, whether it's my personal experience having to pivot, life happening, and
Mhm.
me having to figure out, okay, well, what are my skill sets? What are my transferable skills? What am I passionate about? Because most of us are, we stay in jobs that we have no passion for, and that's where, just it takes the emotional, the mental, the physical toll on us, because we're kicking against our soul calling us to find our purpose. So, just through life happening and me learning how to pivot, how to put food on the table, when I was a caregiver for my father,
Mm.
I had to leave a job I love, but I was traveling too much. I needed to
Wow.
take care of him. I had to pay bills,
Yes.
so yeah, so I've been doing this for a while. I've actually been in beta for some
Yeah.
time,
We're
but with the
always learning and growing. Always. We're always learning and growing. That doesn't stop.
yes. And I think this is what people need to realize and not fear. Change is okay. Change can actually be really good if we learn how to pivot, how to pursue that what we call inspired living, and just really lean into that. But it also starts with just self-discovery,
Mm.
getting to a point of self-love, which a lot of us have not had the opportunity to until life happens, and you're forced to rethink it, to redefine and pivot and find a new path, you really don't get on that exploration because as children, we're put on this path to think and be a certain way. It's what, I call social cultural conditioning,
Mm.
and we just follow that path and eventually end up wondering, why do I feel lack? Why do I feel, like I'm not fulfilled? So, and
The other
particularly with,
thing is that
Mhm.
that with a coach like you, it's much smooth transition because they don't know which direction to go, and they don't know the right decisions to make, and their self uh, worth is not, it's on the floor because they just went through something. So they have
So
to lift themselves up. I think you got it. You got it. I love it.
Yes, so true. And I specialize in working with people who are going through change, trauma, brokenness. That's my personal story, and
Mm.
standing myself back up, getting off the mat. If you're familiar with my book, Love the Skin You're In, How to Conquer Life Through Divergent Thinking, I'm standing in a boxing ring with all these lights and gloves, and you see, this fire sparks from the glove. And I mean, all of that is commentary on my life and three different pictures of me. I call it my autobiographical love letter to society, just on social conditions and how I overcame and the lessons that I learned. So I apply that very much in my coaching. And I actually have a holistic coaching program with my fiance, in which we do both do business coaching, but I work on the personal wellness and development as well as the executive leadership piece. And then he
Mm.
comes alongside, and we are literally standing up these retiring military women leaders. We're standing up their business in 90 days online.
Beautiful.
90
Where
days.
where you based?
I'm
Where
actually
you?
based, yeah, in Crystal City, Arlington, Virginia, right outside of DC, right across the
Oh
bridge.
yeah, beautiful area. I used to live in Rosslyn, Virginia.
Ah, yes, yes, right around the way. But
Beautiful
I'm
area.
originally from Texas.
Oh, okay, okay. That's also a state we're going to be going to this year for an event.
Yes,
So we're all over the place. So you are um, also a great answer to women going through divorce or the husband dying. And a lot of women today are really not aware of everything that's going on around them because the husband is managing a lot of the things. And whether he
yes,
leaves or he dies, they're completely lost because the husband has managed all the finances, everything. So this is another area that's a huge problem right now. What do we have now? 51% of the divorces are breaking up,
yes.
and
Uh,
it's horrible.
And you're so right. Whether it's divorce or death, there's a client, out in California who has lost a son who had a business. Her
Mm.
husband died not long after that. And she's literally, piecing her life together. I mean, she's dealing with that trauma. So, she has to be able to stand up and move forward. So what we do, the beauty of what we do at Defining Paths, we help you through that healing process. We take you through what I call my 3R philosophy: revelation, reconciliation, and renaissance, where it's literally a
Mm.
journey, a healing journey in which we're helping them put the pieces together, holding their hand. Meanwhile, we're standing up resource, a business. We're helping them discover their passions, putting that blueprint together, standing up their business, and and giving them a turnkey solution. And then a lot of those clients stay with us, in a retainer model, and or we view our clients as family. We're heart-centered, we're socially conscious. So we consider ourselves more than a company, but a movement and a network. And everyone we work with, including the clients we take on, have those core values.
So you start at the core, which is the person. Then you
Yes,
help them find the path to either starting their own business or working in the right industry to
yes,
take care of themselves financially. But that's the right path. People start
absolutely.
running
Mhm.
to find a job instead of fixing their pain and things. So that's what they need is a roadmap that you already have. That's beautiful.
Yes, and some people, they're ready to go straight into the entrepreneurial
Yeah.
path, others are not. Anyone who comes to us, we don't turn them away, and we certainly don't leave anybody behind. So we help them figure it out, figure out their passions. And so we have several programs, whether it's the coaching, it's whether it's taking them into the entrepreneurial path. We even have retreats for women that it's all about just the spiritual healing, holistic healing. Our business slogan is, be your own boss in mind, body, soul, and business. So it's about the whole person, because we can't be successful in life whether it's a job or whether it's the entrepreneurial path, without dealing with the person, with those, what I call the essential triangle of life.
Mm, that's so important. Maria is always telling people that you need to think, you need to look, and you need to feel like a CEO in
Absolutely.
every area of your life. At home, you need to think, look, and feel like a CEO to be successful in managing your home. So her philosophy is you need to be mentally ready to run anything, because
Mhm.
even if you work for yourself, you're still a CEO. So that is a huge thing that we need to. It's the mindset.
Absolutely. It's key. It's the key to everything, and we cannot ignore it. But here's the special thing also, that the people that I work with, we focus on, if you're going to be a CEO, be the CEO who has heart, who leads from heart. You combine the heart with the
Yeah.
mind. So we have a model that's called human capital value. And that's what we train folks who are pursuing executive leadership in executive leadership. That's how we work with them, because it's a people first model. You take
Mm,
care of your people, they will take care of you in the bottom line. So
that's
this is it's reverse thinking. It really is. And we like to think we're game changers, and just helping people flip that paradigm that has existed, and understand, just because it's always been like that doesn't mean it needs to be or has to be.
yeah, it's a new era, and
Yes.
the only reason we started the Women Network for the Global Trade Chamber is to inspire, empower, and connect women around the globe so they can share stories and relate to each other and help each other lift each other up. Because if we don't
Absolutely.
have a network around us, it's hard to do it by yourself. It's really hard. So this whole movement that we have created, it's touching lives, but it's people like you that make it a success, because you are the inspiration, you're the motivation for these women, and you will be for years to come. So you're very important part of the new era of recovering, starting over in every area, whether it's personal or business. Everybody has to have a plan, and they has to start with the person. Like you say, you can't just focus on the business or the money until you're okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to just give you what we say in the military life, Bravo Zulu, BZ, for what you're doing, and just providing the platform and bringing folks together, and just your mission. And it's so in line with what I'm about, what we're about at Defining Paths, and the direction we're going. We're called globally, and so that's what we do. And it's just an honor, a privilege, a pleasure, and truly fulfilling to do the work that we're doing.
Yeah, it's amazing. We're so happy to have you in our network. We're happy to know you, because as we know you, we're going to create opportunities. Somebody just worked in. We're
Well, we're
creating
here.
opportunities for people to know you, because everything about what you do is more people knowing you, because you
Mhm.
can touch lives through your books. You touch lives through shows like this that are going to be put on all of our platforms, and they're going to be there forever. So people can always go back and say, "Oh, I want to meet her. I want to touch her, so I can be more effective." So I think you're doing a lot for a lot of people, and even men are going to be impacted, because everything that you say applies to men too. But
Absolutely.
they're not
No,
always in the position that women are. Men usually don't have to worry about when the woman's not there, that everything keeps going, because they already have everything. The women are the ones that are often not involved in many of the things that the husband is involved with. So that's so needed today. So needed.
absolutely, absolutely. And I love to say, on my podcast show, Define Your Path, as well as my TV show, Candid Conversations with Doc V, on the Win Win Women TV. It's actually airing now on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. But I love to say, all are invited to the conversation. And this is what we need to realize, instead of this battle of the sexes or, who, someone, one being more capable than another. I always like to say, all are invited to the conversation, particularly those men who love and support us. So,
Well,
and we have
cheerleader.
tons, yeah. We have
I'm a
tons of
cheerleader.
clients who are men as well. So,
Yeah, yeah. My daughter was in the Air Force, so
mm.
I understand that everything that you're telling me. And we have a nephew that's in the Navy in Japan on a carrier. So
Yes.
people in my family have been involved in the military, so I understand a lot of the challenges and would they need to be prepared before they leave. Don't wait
Exactly.
till you leave.
That's the beautiful part, because with our True Vision program, we're getting them in that window where they're in that 9-month transition. Because there's
Mm,
nothing, I mean, they have, like in the Navy, you have like a week course, what TAPS, Transition Assistance Program. They might bring in like small business administration, and thank goodness for them. But there's no
not
one who's
enough.
preparing them in that
It's
nine
not
month
enough.
window.
That's
Hmm.
amazing. So I think there's much more we're going to do for years to come. There's so many opportunities. The one area that we focus on as a Chamber of Commerce is to help m- people, not just the military. But I always
Hmm.
wanted to have an effort specifically for the military to start a business, like an incubator.
Yes.
This is
And
one
that,
of the one
yes.
of the dreams and visions that I have. So I would love to talk to you offline about maybe working together on developing an incubator here in our trade center for the
Okay.
military. We can do it virtual, we can do it in person, but we've been doing this for over 15 years, helping people start and grow successful businesses in
Yes.
the U.S. and across the globe. So we have a lot of synergy already.
Absolutely, Al, and that's what we're doing. I'm just launched a multi author project for my next book. So my Love the Skin You're In, it's a series that I'm building out, and this next one that we're releasing on November 11th is Love the Skin You're In for the Warfighter, and it'll come with a course and with that True Vision project. So that is our incubator. So absolutely, let's make it
Join
happen, and
forces.
let's change lives.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot more. Tell me about your personal life. Tell me about your family. Tell me about you. Let's know you as a person.
Let's love me. Well, I am literally an open book. The book that I've been referring to, Love the Skin You're In, How to Conquer Life Through Divergent Thinking, it's on Amazon. That is my story, literally from childhood to adulthood. I am an only child that I knew of until about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I have an amazing brother who we're very much alike.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yes, and my mother is still living. My father,
Beautiful.
biological father, and my stepfather are both deceased. Rest in peace. But I grew up in a little South Texas town. A place called
Amazing.
Victoria, Texas, down there on the coast, right above Corpus Christi, below
Mm,
Houston.
okay.
And it was a place really where great people, but it was a very boxed in mentality and thinking.
Mm,
We I grew up in modest means, but my mom, she was working to put food. It was a place where parents were prevented from really thinking about inspired living. That's a movement we have going on now, and really tapping into the flow of life. So, we really didn't know much about that sort of living, and they were working so hard. I mean, we weren't sitting around a dinner table every night talking, about life and things, and investing, and all of these things
right, right.
that that those who might be more privileged have the opportunity to do. And that's just a fact of life. Nothing against anyone who does have that privilege. But it was mostly happy. But even by the age of 5, I had already learned lessons in faith, hope, love, security, absence, addictions, and
Wow.
loss. Unfortunately, my father's side of the family, they have struggled with alcohol. And
Mm,
because we in general, we use that a lot of times to numb the pain. to just stop the mind from thinking. And life is hard, and when you're not monitoring that, when you're using it in that way, it can easily get out of hand. So, as I said, that whole just inspired living, doing what I'm doing now was never on a radar. It was never on a radar, but I always had something tugging at my soul, pulling me out of my, what I like to call my homeland, and people laugh about that,
Yeah, yeah.
of Texas. 'Cause
And
Texas
what are
is
some?
a country.
So your father really was one of the challenges that you experienced in life. Tell us about some other challenges that you overcame.
Yes. So really, when I say, at the top of the program, I was talking about how I've been in beta most of my life. So I was pursuing a certain path in life, but when life happened, I had to pivot. As I said, I was took care of my father, and I had to figure out, okay, what industry do I go into now?
Mm,
So just through hitting that roadblock and going, starting to identify and go for interviews or what have you. I'm sitting there in interviews, and people couldn't figure out what I actually did because my experience was so diverse.
mm,
And in those interviews, folks think within a box. They're just looking at what, the job says, what it does. They're not thinking about the person sitting in front of them and the capabilities that
no,
they may have as a result of exercising, both left, right brain thinking, and being able to integrate that for problem solutions. You know, um, they're just thinking about what's on the paper. So I had started putting a competency section on my resumes before people started doing that. And I remember sitting there, and one gentleman asked me, "So, what is it you do?" In like a very snarky and sarcastic way.
yeah, yeah.
And of course, I had to, stay calm because I really want to say I can do whatever you
Oh,
need me to do.
yeah. I'm open.
I'm open.
I'm
But
open.
that was like that was a pivotal point in my life. And that was really the beginning of, what my creative life design philosophy. So that was a huge pivotal thing. That's when, the
Wow,
very beginnings of when I started to have to consciously pivot, and figure life
amazing.
out and make things happen. So that was a huge point. Also, just moving through, it's so funny. People are always like, "How old are you?" I'm older than I look.
You look
But
very
I've
young.
had, so many experiences in which I've worked with various entities, and just going through those structures, and just the experiences that I had, unfortunately, in several, dealing with, just hostile work environments, discriminatory work environments,
It's still
abusive
going
work
on.
environments. It's
Still
still
going on.
going on.
Horrible.
And yes, and I can't tell you how many stories and things that I saw and witnessed for myself, and just, what our women in service are going through, and it's real. It's still something that we fight through. And that's actually why we founded our Grace Under Pressure for Women,
Mm,
course and community, to just help women deal with the career life trauma, brokenness as a result, and stand them
mhm.
back up. So, everything that I do now is as a result of my life and personal experience. And so, yeah, I just started thinking without that box, because
Good.
I tell people all the time that box keeps us in, keeps us outside around it, or it keeps us hovering over it, but it's still in sight, and it
Good.
paralyzes us.
It's also like the glass ceiling, and people have a
Mhm.
limited perception of how high they can go because they have this glass ceiling that they don't think they can go above. One of the things
Absolutely.
that's interesting to me because of your dealings with the armed forces is how did that impact you in where you are now, being involved with the armed forces?
Well, it's the reason I identified that target group that needed assistance. Because think about the path, the journey of those going into service. Most go in enlisted as opposed to going to college and then becoming officers.
No.
So you're talking about kids coming straight out of high school, 17, 18,
So
19 years old, going into service and going through a process which is necessary for service. But most folks, most of those kids are not equipped to maintain their identity. They're still figuring out who they are, discovering their identity, but they're required to and must think as a unit, as one. So it's a whole programming to get them to that place where they need to be for survival skills in military life, and all that is to come to experience that. So when you come to the end of that journey, and that's what you've been programmed to do all your life, that's what you've been eating, living, breathing, sleeping
Right.
24/7,
Right.
there has to be a deprogramming and reprogramming process. I hate using
Mm.
those words, but it's real. It's what it is. It's a
Yep.
conditioning, a training that has happened that is not being paid attention to in the exit. So that's what we're doing. That's what we are passionate about. Not telling them how they should think, but taking them through a process to help them exhale from that experience, and to not to demean it or anything at all, certainly not, but to help them start to think without that box,
Yeah.
and feel comfortable. And that's why we're all about healing, rebuilding, and transforming.
And what's something positive you got out of all your years with the armed forces?
Positive, anyone, you can achieve anything. You're strong.
Yep.
You are resilient, and that is what is really needed, particularly if you are going to pursue the entrepreneurial world, the entrepreneurial path. So I say that huge resiliency, and that you can face anything you set and put your mind to. It's just making sure that your mindset, you understand that you can set your mind, you can be the captain of your ship, right? And not simply just the crew. So that's a concept we teach, about just
Beautiful.
assuming the helm, assuming that
Yep.
leadership.
Yep.
And so that's what's huge, and what I want everyone who has served to understand and know. Even though it doesn't matter your rank, you have skill sets that you came out with, that you innately have, or that you had before going in, that you just need to rediscover.
Yeah, it's
And
amazing.
yeah.
I know a lot of young people today lack discipline, and I
Mm,
think the armed forces does help them to develop those skills, because discipline is so key to everything that you do, from getting up in the morning. One general once said, the best thing you can do for your life starts with the way you make your bed every morning.
mm.
So how you
You
make
know,
your bed, it's very true.
yeah, most there are a lot of countries that require at least 2 years of service.
Yes.
Yeah, I know there have been conversations. I don't know that
Kansas.
that will ever happen in America, but
Yeah, yeah. But they
yeah.
do help. They do help. One of the things that I want everybody to be aware of, that if you want your life to be touched by Dr. Virginia, you have got to join us in London on August 24th.
Please,
And not only here, look at that beautiful poster they did for you.
gorgeous.
Wow. You're like a movie star. I wish I had a
Oh,
poster
bless
like
you.
that. So this is what we do. We bring you the top people in the world to touch your life, for you to actually meet them, because a lot of people that we see on social media, on networks, you never meet them, but we actually give people the opportunity to meet an amazing lady like Dr. Virginia in person. You can talk to her, you can feel her story, not just hear it. And I think it's a unique experience, and you're going to meet a lot of incredible women there. But if you're anywhere near transition, or are going to a transition, you cannot miss this seminar in London, and many other amazing women. But this is, it's so important during this pandemic to have somebody there to help you lift yourself up, shake yourself up, and then
Yes.
launch you into your success in career or industry that you want to start. So she is the perfect person for these times. And I'm so happy to meet you. This is just a, we could go on for hours.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, they give me a time limit because I just go on and on and on. Especially with somebody as amazing as you, and you really are changing the world. That's what we're all about, life
Thank
changers.
you. Bless
And
you.
I
Thank
can't wait to see you in London. But we'll do more things together. We have a lot of ways we can partner and help people all the
you.
time. So we
Yeah,
appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time. And it's going to be
absolutely.
a pleasure to see you in London. We're going to have an incredible time. And you're going to be touched by other people, but you're going to touch other people's lives. So it's mutual. It's a win-win.
Absolutely. It's a win-win. Thank you
A
so
lot of
much.
people are making comments here. Amazing. So you are very welcome today by the viewers, and it's going to be on our websites for years. This interview, and they're going to learn a lot about you from all over the world.
Thank
A
you
great
so much.
interview. Really, really would love to keep talking to you because we're going to have a lot of things we can do in the future. Because I have a heart for the, like I said, for the veterans as well. So we have a lot of ways we
Yes.
can partner and touch lives. So I wish you a wonderful weekend. It's happy
Mm.
day, happy hour day. It's Friday.
Exactly.
I'm ready. I'm ready when I get up. Oh, happy hour.
Happy hour.
Happy hour. That's
I
my
hear my friend
famous
Jack
word.
calling.
And I read it. I heard this week that the Green Berets, out of every 100 Green Berets that they test to be Green Berets, only three make it. So
Mm,
there's some people, you talk about programming. Imagine being a Green Beret. So there's a lot of people that come out really at the top of being completely uh, focused on one thing and they have no idea how to think any other way. So you're the
abs-
perfect person for this time. So thank you. Have a wonderful
Thanks.
day and we'll speak again.
Okay, likewise. Thank you, audience. Appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been a wonderful interview. I invite you all to listen and tune in every Friday for success stories, but also to be in London with us and meet amazing ladies like Dr. Virginia. She is a life changer and a world mover. So we appreciate her and have a wonderful weekend. See you in London.